Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Alex Phillips, writer and director of All Jacked Up and Full of Worms. I was going to say it's very cool to have you here, but I don't know after watching the movie. No, it's very cool to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me, whether you want me or not.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. So I think it's actually, is it streaming this weekend at Bizzaroland?
Yeah, it'll be at the fest.
Or streaming?
It'll be live. It won't be streaming.
Oh, nice. Yeah, streaming there, and then it's playing on Screenbox.
Yeah. So yeah, streaming on the Screenbox, and yeah.
I saw it because my friend Steven, who runs it, he was when I mentioned you were coming on, he was like, "Oh, it's playing at Bizzaroland." Formerly, wrong, but yeah,
sweet.
Cool. So
yeah, I love sticking around and played my short, Who's a Good Boy?
Yeah, which I've not seen. I was looking up your other work, and I'm very curious to watch your other films.
Check them out. They're of a similar style, I'd say.
Interesting. So, which comes first, like the movie idea or the name? Because the name really, like, whoa, this is a cool name. I could almost see like you come up with the name, and like now I've got to write a movie around the name.
No, this one actually. No, so I wrote the script, and the characters. Once everything got sort of grounded in this, everyone getting high on these worms and getting their lives ruined by them. I sort of slapped it on the like first like completed draft of that version of this, and it was like a working title because I thought it was too long. Honestly, I was like, and then I spent the next like 3 or 4 years trying to come up with a different title. I wanted to like a one word, sort of something
or something.
Yeah, something maybe, like sexier or something glossier, but I could never escape it. It was just like, it was, you can't really do better than All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, it was too true.
That's funny you mentioned that because in my mind, I thought maybe other people would be telling you, like, you got to change your name, it's too long, but you yourself thought that. But I think it's the right decision because as soon as I heard it, because I've seen it playing at I haven't seen it at festivals, but I've seen it playing other festivals. And whenever I saw the name, I was like, oh, that's something I need to check out because it definitely sticks in your mind.
Well, I think that's kind of the best way to make any decision is like you come up with you go with your gut and then you try to come up with something better than your gut. And if you can't, then that's the right thing.
Yeah. Now you mentioned there it's about people. Well, you want to explain what the movie is in your mind?
in my mind, well, yeah. I mean, so it's about these two guys that meet via their mutual appreciation for getting high on earthworms, and then they go through a bunch of different trials, and their lives get messed up in various ways because of either their past that they bring to the worms, or because of the worms take them on this horrible journey and lead to destruction.
Yeah. That's part of the reason I love festivals is you see like weird movies like this that don't necessarily fit in, or maybe they fit in several genres. They don't fit into one genre. Was that a problem when you're even like getting casting the movie? I would think some people, not only the genre part, but some of the scenes, maybe some people weren't into, didn't want to be.
Yeah, well, actually, you'd be surprised that once you sort of start as a weirdo and you make these sort of things like Who's a Good Boy, right, is about this guy who's running around naked in a park and he's pissing in the park, and this couple, this lesbian couple, like sort of kidnap him, take him in, and they try to house train him because he's running around acting like a dog. So, and it's like sort of a sort of surreal dreamlike thing of them trying to make him be a house trained dog. And once you have like all these, once you go to your friends and you're like, okay, we're going to make a movie where everyone's going to run around naked like a dog, the asks, then it's no longer surprising when you're like, okay, so now you're going to like put a worm in your face and, like we're going to do all this crazy stuff. And, once you have like the resume, it's like anything, then people are down to
people. Do you think like doing the festivals helps in that regards, that you get your name out there as like, oh, this guy's a weird guy, but he also makes like interesting stuff that I'd want to be a part of? So.
Yeah, totally. I mean, especially that's what kept me going making shorts, it's not like shorts really get that many distribution opportunities. It's not like you can make a living making short films by, like, maybe some people do, but I don't know that many people doing that. So yeah, I mean, building an audience and getting institutional support, whatever that looks like, behind the stuff you do is, yeah, I mean, it's invaluable. That's what keeps you going. So yeah, and it keeps people interested in the work if you keep doing it.
Yeah, I like that. I always find that interesting about the shorts. Like, I like to ask people why they make them, and I don't mean like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you making this? You know, it's like,
you can say that too.
What is like the end game? Like, because there's more platforms now where they can go. It used to be really either you'd put them out yourself on Vimeo or YouTube, or they would just basically disappear. Now they can actually land on, you know, certain places. Even Shudder has some shorts, but like when you were doing the shorts, was it like, oh, I want to do these to like either get my name out there, or like I eventually want to make a feature, and this is like a good way to learn to do that?
Well, so like making a movie is like so hard, especially if you're kind of doing a lot of stuff yourself, or, you know, like your crews are really small. So I always like looked at everything that I was doing, and my next project also, where it's sort of like, this is like so much work and like such a big ask of everybody involved and of myself, that it's kind of like just it existing is the final product. You know, it's like, throw everything in there, and, you know, if people have a problem with it, then that's like sort of at the end of it, you know. But it's like, don't pull punches and don't like compromise while making the thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Everything else is kind of just comes along with it, like the idea of building an audience, getting your name out there.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, or I don't know, but it seems like there is a different way of approaching making stuff, where it's like you want to do it to fit in a certain like box or a certain slot or a certain audience that you think is out there. But I think that's just as made up as anything else. You know, it's just sort of like, you got to get the work out there, and if there's someone there to meet it, you know, then you did something.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on and all jacked up and full of worms. So the idea of the worms themselves kind of, you know, being drugs, basically. Do you have any history with drug abuse or anything like that?
Who's asking? Are you the cops or something?
Well,
no. I've done some drugs. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This to me, the worms were like served a couple different things, where I was like, okay, I wanted to capture like going crazy more than being like addicted to drugs, you know? But I also wanted to like make that active, give us some sort of, you know, metaphorical, but also like mystical, supernatural, or horror reason that these characters are like going on this sort of psychotic, you know, adventure. And finding the worms, you know, instead of making it specific drugs, like instead of being like, this is about like train spotting, this is about heroin, or, you know, or this is like PCP or whatever, you know, it's like, no, these are worms. So it's like, it gives us, it makes it so we can put our own meaning into it, you know. And
well, honestly, for when I was watching, I didn't see it either as a drug addiction or anything, but it was more of people trying to who weren't necessarily happy and looking for something else, or almost like they were bored and looking for some other type of meaning in their life.
Yeah, I mean, so for like Benny,
there's also
like,
with the baby, I think is the same kind of idea. Like, does he necessarily want a baby, or does he just want one because that's like something to do? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't putting that they were bored. I was more putting like he seems like a real loner. Like his life seems
that's probably a better way to someone who is a very lone, and you know,
the other guy for Roscoe, my thing was like that his love life is sort of falling apart, and that the people around him seem to have found like sort of like a hippie meaning to their life, like a certain kind of religion that to me seems absurd, and maybe to this character also, like his reaction to it is sort of like, what the hell is like, going on this is actually fucking me up in a real way, and you guys seem to just sort of be performing this so you can hook up. And I think like, yeah, it's like sort of like you said, you're trying to find meaning, replace the hole in our hearts with these worms, you know.
Mm-hmm. What do you use for the worms? I mean, there's living worms in there, but I assume they're not snorting worms and eating worms.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, what I've been saying to everybody is it's like it's all a documentary use of worms.
Oh,
It's all true. Yeah, it's all worms.
that's a way to go, I think. I like that one. This is a stupid question, unlike my other ones, I guess, were genius. But uh, are you familiar with the Boogeyman from WWE wrestling?
Oh, the boogeyman. Wait, tell me about the
Well, the
boogeyman.
Boogeyman, he come out. He didn't have a long run, maybe 2 years, but he would come out and he would eat living worms. He'd come out of the sack, and after he beat the guy, he'd throw worms on him. But sometimes he'd just grab them out and he'd eat them. And
Hell
it's
yeah,
very.
that sounds
I was
amazing.
surprised they never got in trouble with PETA or anything like that.
That sounds great. Yeah, I used to watch like WWE stuff when I was a kid. I feel bad that I put it down. I think it's so fun. I, I don't
Yeah,
know. It's like the ultimate performance. It's so
yeah,
good.
exactly. So I have to bring up the baby. So
Yeah, yeah.
lots of things about it because I watch a lot of crazy movies and I've watched movies since I was a little kid. So not to be like a badass, I don't get like scared or anything. But there was scenes in your movie that genuinely like was disturbing to me, and there was a point I was almost like, I don't know if I even want to interview about this movie. So
Yeah.
so first of all, like even making the doll, like where did you? I assume you didn't buy the doll made like that.
No, no. So okay, my buddy Ben Goger, he did like he made these the practical effects that you see in the movie, and the baby doll is like, like it's what I asked for, but he made that like head. Like we went to the store and we went shopping for in the toy section. We found some baby dolls with duplicates, and then he took one of the heads off, and we kept the other ones for like stunt doubles, and made the mold that you saw, and that was like, yeah, I mean that was a long process of figuring out what this horrific thing should look like and how it and how it's supposed to function, and also how it's supposed to be sort of like a psychologically messed up thing that you're looking at.
Yeah, because there's very first, like you see it. I don't know how I don't want to give too much away of the movie, but there's really a scene. I think I was like, whoa, I don't know what's going on here, because not only does he have the baby, he's also talking about like it's his test baby.
Yeah,
So then when he starts to get sexual gratification from this doll and he wants a real baby, that asks a lot of questions in your mind. Like,
sure.
whoa, this is no longer a guy you want to root for, obviously.
Yeah,
And, he definitely shouldn't have his own baby. So there's a lot of questions that come out of that.
yeah. Well, okay, so it seems like it did mess with you,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
did. And
also
I want to say, I'm not saying I didn't like the movie. I actually like that about the movie because there
yeah,
aren't too many things anymore that would, someone who watches a lot of festival movies and weird movies that's really taboo
yeah.
or makes you even like, oh, wow, I don't know about this.
Well, so like the point to me of movies, like some of my favorite stuff, even like books, plays, movies, like even like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something like that. You like get these characters that are like anti-heroes, or like there's these guys that, they're like, oh yeah, I did some bad stuff in my past, but now I'm doing, even Indiana Jones, right? There's even like a weird, like, like weird references in there to like that sort of thing. And I feel like we've sort of like pulled away from that. Like all of our characters now, like maybe they'll say something that's a little crass or something like that, but like they're always like telegraphing, like, I'm a good guy and I'm doing the good thing, and there's like very clear lines of good and evil. And I feel like that's kind of like doing an injustice to like stories and art and all this other stuff that we've got going on. Because I think that what's right and wrong, and I think I know what's right and wrong. Like, I don't need to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
So I think like it's better actually and more challenging and more interesting to have a character that's messed up and have us recognize ourselves in him. Because like Trevor Dawkins, who plays Benny Boone, Trevor is like a really charismatic dude. He's kind of funny and he's like gentle, and like all this stuff like lets us into this guy, and then freaks us out even more when we like can relate now, and then now seeing him do all this stuff. And I feel like that challenging stuff is the point of making art, so that we can like understand each other better, like. And also like I wanted to dramatize like the like guilt and paranoia and anxiety that comes with just being, mentally ill, crazy, all this stuff. Like having messed up feelings is something that everybody has, So I thought that would, and making it so you can like actually feel those feelings was part of the mission of this, instead of like telling us about it in a psychologically real way where it's like, oh, he came from a broken home and that's why he's sad. Instead, it's like, oh no, we feel it in our gut as to like why this guy's messed up.
Yeah. And the movie has a dreamlike quality to the whole thing where you don't know like what scenes are like real, what's really and so like you were saying, people have messed up thoughts. So are these just like deep thoughts in his head? And I actually in my notes took it that he's a very likable guy, which does make those scenes much more when they happen challenging, like you said. Which, and again, like you said, I said this before in the show. I think art should invoke emotion, and that doesn't always mean like a positive emotion. A negative emotion is just as, or even maybe even more powerful than a positive emotion.
Yeah, I tried to give us like at the end of the movie like this sort of while it's like in line, like everybody has exploded and all this stuff, like, but it's like it's still also like it's a totally like cross-faded happy ending, where like it's like a beautiful
and then when
sort
you
of
think of the rest of the movie, you're like, I don't know if this should be a happy ending, right?
Right.
Which I like all of. I honestly like all of this of the movie. I don't want, there's so much going on. There's also a lot of crazy gore in the movie, which looks awesome. And who does the effects for the movie? Because they look really good. And I assume it's not like a giant budget film.
No. It's so it's my friend Ben Go. He's like he does the effects. He's great, and he had a great team of people too, like coming out. We had this guy Kyle Williams, who he did like he works on in Chicago Med, I think it is, like on like this Dick Wolf show. He came on for a couple of days to do like those like that like slit in the arm where the guy puts.
Yeah, that looks great. It really. I mean, I knew like, oh, I'm sure they didn't cut this dude's arm open to put a worm in it or a girl's arm open, but it looks great. It looks very realistic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like real DIY stuff that's been sort of elevated. Like Ben has this puke rig that he's been taking around with him for a while, and so we got to use the puke rig a lot, which is just sort of like a pump spraying out a hose, But it's like he like made this cool harness to put on like the side of your mouth, and then taking that to its like logical conclusion where we had like even longer hoses hooked up to like this fire extinguisher that would shoot out all the stuff. So yeah, there was fun. It was everybody got like really covered in like blood and goo, and it was fun.
What's this like to watch all jacked up and full of worms with an audience? Because I can imagine at a festival there's going to be audiences that I don't know how they react. I would assume some people are laughing, some people are shocked, some people might just leave. What's the experience like?
You get like the late night audiences, they seem to get it. They're laughing even, they're laughing all the way through, but also like, and groaning and just like going along with it. You get like a real visceral response. I don't know, like whole thing. One of my favorite things is like the reveal of the baby and like sort of like you can feel sort of like everyone's like, whoa, like all this, you're like kind of going along with this song. You're like, okay, this is all great. This is fun. And then you're like thrown back. And then you kind of like, are like, okay, I guess I'm going to like pay attention now. And like, got to see where the hell this is going. And then I think like, like everyone sort of goes on the roller coaster of like, being let back in and then like getting the rug pulled out from them again. And, and the sort of like humor and shock and surprise that comes with that. I don't know, like going to festivals, the response has been pretty great. I don't know what it's like to watch at home. I imagine it depends on what headspace you're in.
Yeah, well, I really, because I do like festivals. This came from a couple, and I wish I would have seen All Jacked Up and Full of Worms at a festival with people, because I assume it's a much different experience, and I would rather see every movie with an audience, possible. Yeah. It's always possible.
I imagine if you're in a real dark place in the middle of the night watching this thing, you're gonna maybe just be like, "Oh shit!" Like,
I had it was in my room and the lights were off, and I was like, "Oh, what the hell am I watching?" But I mean it honestly in a good way. Or maybe good's not a great word. I don't know even. It was a positive. I enjoyed it for I don't even know if enjoy is the right term, but
Yeah,
I
I
find
think
it very interesting, and I think it's well made, and I
right.
don't really see many things that has me like questioning, like you're making me think about the movie afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of the point, you know? It's like I don't want to give people what they're, something easy, like that you can get that anywhere. You can watch TV, you can find that anywhere in the world, So it's like, no, there's a reason that this particular movie exists, and it's going to be its own thing.
Mm-hmm. So where I already mentioned it's going to be playing it's playing this weekend at formerly Sick and Wrong, Bizzaroland.
Yeah, Bizzaroland, yeah.
Yeah, and it's streaming on Screambox. So used to be I'd go to the festivals and some of the movies, they'd pop up on Shudder, but a lot of stuff I would see would just disappear. And it's cool that I got to see him, but it was also like sad, like, oh man, this, people should see this. But it's nice that there are a lot more streaming sites now that give a home or platform to some more out there stuff that might not, land somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it, honestly. Like, like making this movie, there was no expectation in any way of like necessarily, I mean, obviously I wanted it to get distribution, but there's, not having, like knowing any of those people in the industry, not really like knowing where it would go, the whole journey after making it and having it premiere at Fantasia and like finding it at home and Cinedigm and stuff like with Screenbox is like really, really, it's so great. It's like, it makes it so now I can make another movie, and that there's like, and I think it should give other people too, like a sense that they can go out there and make their fucking weird idea as well,
Yeah, no, I agree. Were you at Fantasia for the?
Yeah.
That'd be. I assume that was a great experience.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a weird experience. I assume you're also going in. It's both like you're excited and you're both and nervous.
Yeah. So like this movie, it's crazy to think about, but yeah, when I went there, the movie had only been seen by like 4 people. So I was like, what's going to happen? I was like totally terrified. So when it finally happened, it was like a huge relief that the audiences were responding, and that it was like, I was like full, and I was like, holy shit, like this is happening, and then for the rest, like going to Fantastic Fest and all this other stuff, it was like so fun,
Yeah. Yeah. And I always tell everyone, if you make films or if you just like films, whatever, there's a lot of benefits, I think, to going to festivals.
Yeah, definitely.
And I tried to find you. I don't, not like at your home, but I think you're hard to find on. So, do you have social media anywhere?
Oh yeah. I just started my Twitter. I mean, I guess I had it, but I wasn't really using it. What am I on there? I think I'm at Hot X Pictures. I don't know why. And then on Instagram, I'm at Dogfuckpuke. So
all right. That was a genuine laugh.
Yeah, I think that's why it's kind of hard to find me. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't normally search for that. I'm incognito or something,
No, I'm totally public. It's just you don't you gotta look.
All right, I'm gonna find you here. So very cool. Well, I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And people check out All Jacked Up and Full of Worms.
Yeah, please do.